Hi, everybody. This is Annie McDonnell, and I am an author, but I am also a columnist at Well Read Magazine. And so I write an article for Well Read Magazine, and then it becomes a podcast on Between the Pages over at YouTube for Well Read Magazine, which is ran by the illustrious, well, founded by and ran by Mandy Haynes. So I'm very excited that she allows me to this opportunity to choose authors or people in the literary field that I feel go above and beyond, like do extra creative, have extra creativity in their soul. And I think it's so exciting because this month for November, I chose Jeanée Sacken. I have been enamored with her since her first book. Um, and it's because of reading like historical fiction novels that it's like, oh my gosh, I'm reading about somebody that really does this stuff in real life. So that was very exciting to me to meet her. So I'm going to thank you, Jeanée, for doing this interview with me today. I really appreciate it. I know it's an original type of, not like original, I'm sure somebody else does it too, but it's a different kind of interview because the questions are a little odd because and I always called him Proust. And then Amory Nieves says, Annie, it's Proust. And I said, of course you would know that I was saying his name wrong the whole time because I get Vanity Fair magazine and I'm in love with this interview. I feel like I walk away knowing somebody better.
Yeah.
And also, authors can use it as a tool to get to know their characters if they want to add someone new and they don't know how to make them up or anything. So I thought, how interesting is this? And I tried it out and it works really well. So thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Thank you for having me, Annie. I adore you, and I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, look, you are like the big, it's such a gift to me. Uh, you give me the most beautiful pictures of zebras, and it's just, I'm so proud to be going to be displaying all of them in my Zen room once that's all finished. So I will share with the world all of those beautiful photos. Um, they make me feel so special because nobody really pays attention that the zebra is the representation of rare disease or why. And I'm sure you understand it being over there taking photographs of everybody and how different they are. So, um,
Could I
first
just
of all,
tell you? Could I
yes.
just tell you that on my last photo shoot, now this in Zimbabwe and South Africa, which was has now been a year, every zebra spoke your name to me. I was just snapping zebras left and right,
Oh,
and they were all for you.
oh,
So
you were so sweet. Oh, you made me cry. Oh my gosh. You don't understand. Like I mean, I love I mean, my pillowcase is zebras.
mhm.
Like I love zebras, of course, because of that. But thank you so much. That's so nice, and I could feel that too. I have a poem in my book about a photographer once told me, and I don't know. Oh, I'll have to put that down in the article because it's how a photographer makes a field of sunflowers like an ocean. You just it's almost like a book cover, right?
Mhm.
You can kind of tell what's between the pages. You
Yep.
do the same with photography, and you do it with humans, nature, animals, war times. Like so, you
Yeah,
have a lot of background,
I
which
do.
is totally. You have been dubbed the Indiana Jones, which I loved. The Indiana Jones with the camera. That was awesome. I read that and I was like, that's so you. But as a woman, we all read like historical fiction novels by like Soraya Lane where she writes about war correspondence, or I read true stories, but they're all about women from back in the day
Yep.
that did this kind of stuff. So here you are in today's age, um, witnessing things that nobody should have to get so close to,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I just wanted to ask first, what brought that career to mind for yourself? And this is for the interview part of it before the Proust questions. Just that, and which is your favorite part of all of your photography?
Okay, well, I need to back up a little bit. I used to be an English professor. Started out at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill.
Whoa,
Eventually,
whoa, whoa, whoa! I went to High Point University.
are you kidding
I'm
me?
not kidding. And I was a pre-law major, so English and political science major. Oh
She's
my gosh! No wonder why we're like the.
Well, I got my PhD at Chapel Hill and then taught there for a while, and then eventually moved on to Rochester Institute of Technology in Rochester, New York. And I was directing the writing program. And so I ended up always teaching at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, which happened to be the time when the photography students at Eastman College of Photography, which was on our campus,
Okay.
would take their liberal arts courses, because they would have these long labs in the morning and the afternoon. It was the only time they could fit. So I always had classrooms full of photography students. And because of that, I got to know them. I got to know the faculty, became friends, was
Uh,
mentored. And
so you
long story short, for that part of the story, I ended up going on my first photo shoot in 1998 to Zimbabwe. And I'd gone in early, and I had just gotten there, and I went out to dinner, and happened to meet with a sangoma, which is the Ndebele word for a healer. And so we sat down on the dirt floor on opposite sides of a mat, and he handed me the 4 bones. And he said, now hold them in your hand, keep them warm, and concentrate on your problem. I'm like, I don't have a problem. I'm living the life I always wanted to live. I'm a university professor. I'm dabbling in photography. Well, I actually didn't say
life is great, and I'm in Zimbabwe.
yeah, but I didn't tell him I was a university professor. I'm thinking all of that. So I hand him back the bones. He throws the bones on the mat, and he looks up at me and says, you didn't concentrate. Do it again. So he hands me back the bones. And so this time I'm thinking, okay, what do I do? Do I try to make something out of photography, or what? And so I gave him back the bones. He threw the bones, and he said, you're an English teacher, which sort of freaked me out,
Right.
because how did he know that? And he said, so you teach people how to read stories. He said, but you have a lot of stories to tell, and you need to be doing that. You need to follow your heart. About the same time, I go home. I'm like, yeah, right. I go home, and my father is dying. And the last words he said to me were, he took my hand and he said, don't die with regrets. You have stories to tell. Yeah.
Oh my God. Wait a second. You have stories to tell.
Yes.
Have you done anything with those words?
No.
Okay, I'm writing a poem. You have stories to tell.
Well, actually, I
Just
kind
for
of
you.
used them in a book that you don't know about yet.
No, just for you.
And so then a year later, I went on another photo shoot to Honduras, and I was on a narrow gauge train on the Mosquito Coast, being eaten alive by mosquitoes.
It's not just a name.
No, it's not just a name. And I was with my fixer, and and by this point I was beginning to work on a documentary essay of women and children at work, because so many children around the world have to work. They can't go to school. And so I was going around photographing them. And so I see this woman off in the jungle, and she has this stick that she's raising over her head and pounding down into a thing that looks like a sock. And I asked my fixer, what is she doing? He said, I have no idea. Do you want to go find out? I figured they'd stop the train. No.
Oh,
He
you were
the engineer on the shoulder. The engineer slowed the train. My fixer grabbed my hand and we went flying off the train. And I had 50 pounds of camera gear on
you are definitely my Shiro for sure.
So we go over, we talk. Oh, well, we stand up first.
You survive. You survive.
The train is going away. And I said, when is the train coming back? He said, next Thursday. Is that a problem?
Oh my gosh.
So we walk over to the woman, and I learned she is pounding cassava root to make cassava flour. And she and her sister are the only two people in their village who work. And between the two of them, they earned $20 a week making cassava tortillas over an open fire. And so I asked if I could take their pictures. This is back in the day, shooting film. I'm running 2 cameras. My fixer's wiping off the sweat because it's 110 degrees and the humidity is even higher than that. And so he's cleaning up my one camera, hands it to me.
I couldn't go.
So then we suddenly realized that this outdoor kitchen is surrounded by everyone in the village, and they're all chanting, National Geographic, National Geographic.
They must all want National Geographic to come out there.
Oh, yeah.
That's so great.
So at any rate, that time I went home and I said, you know what? That flying, soaring leap off the train, that's what I want to do with my life. And so I jumped off the train of academia. I resigned my tenure, and which isn't always the financially savvy thing to do.
Right.
But I just said, okay, I'm going to be a photojournalist. And so I continued traveling around the world, and every gallery show I would have, I would tell the stories of the people that I photographed, and they would become catalogs. And then I realized that part of what I loved was not just capturing the image, but getting to know the people and telling their stories. Because if I'm going to bear witness, I really, as a photojournalist, want to have the image and the story. And that grew into writing novels.
You and I are so in sync in our thought process. Like, I just told you about the book covers and the photography, and you tell a story. I mean, for example, we have this picture.
Sujata.
I mean, look at that. You remember her name. It's just.
She was 10 years old, and I was there. It was up in the mountains in Honduras above Copan, a 4-hour horseback ride.
Okay.
And I was there to photograph her mother. And even I could tell we were getting nothing. And this is back in the days of film. And I had developed, because with film, you never know what you get till you get home.
Right. Now they can see right away.
Yeah. But my fingers, like Annie Hawkins, my fingers tingled when I knew I had something. And my fingers weren't tingling. I know I was getting nothing. So I called a break and I turned around, and there was the woman's daughter standing in the corner of their 2-room mud hut, holding those corn husk dolls. And if you look closely at the image, her fingers are stained blue. And that is because she was spending her life with her hands in buckets of Rit dye to dye those corn husks. And she would make them to sell at the market. Why, you might ask? Well, because even though education in Honduras is free, one way the Honduran government makes sure that indigenous people don't get an education.
Right. Stay down.
by saying, you have to buy your school uniforms and you have to buy your books. And they changed the school uniform every year. So there was no hand-me-down within families. And families couldn't afford this. And so typically they would send the firstborn son to get an education. And the rest of the children in the family are put to work to earn money to buy the school uniform for their oldest brother to get an education. So this girl, you can see the shadow play on her face and her hands. She's literally in the shadows, physically and metaphorically, of her brother.
There's so much to be said about that. And you can see it in her eyes.
Yep.
That there's like a little bit of not being noticed. I do understand that. Anyone that has grown up with that can see that in her eyes, and you capture it so lovely. And you could tell she trusted you.
She was an amazing little girl, 10 years old. I thought she was beautiful. She has actually become my iconic image. And because of this girl, every time I go on a photo shoot, I take donations of school supplies. And I always visit as many schools as I possibly can. And
well, I have lots of stuff to give for school supplies, and I would love to help.
Thank you.
That's amazing that she became your iconic figure. Again, I mean, not for nothing. I love photographs, and I love analyzing a book cover, which is a photograph. Love analyzing a book cover to decide what's between the pages before I read synopsises and all of that stuff, because I love to play with like what's going on in the photograph or the whatever they're doing with the graphic. But your photographs blow me away. They blow me out of the water. So before we move any further, since this is what we're talking about, weren't you like a war correspondent or something like that?
No,
a photojournalist.
I'm a photojournalist. Wars are too dangerous.
Right. But was what it was. You were over in Afghanistan, and
I've never been to Afghanistan.
No, Annie is. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting the stories confused. Okay, so here we go.
That's good, because some of my I want readers to feel immersed. I really want
I get you
between fiction and nonfiction.
Yes, I get you both confused.
Yeah.
Not confused, but okay, which is Jeanée? And I'm a memoir writer, and I love fiction and memoir. So I do also believe that, and I use this line all the time, trace elements of every author is in their fiction.
Absolutely.
Right. Absolutely. So yeah, so I can feel that. Okay, so look at this, you guys.
I was in Hwanghae National Park, my Zen place, and I was in a blind that was underground.
The baby. Underground?
Yeah, so I was shooting at toenail level.
Oh, wow.
This blind was right at a borehole, 3 boreholes, and then a water hole. And this was in the dry season. I was actually on a photo shoot that was.
You can see the smoke.
Yeah, well, it's dust.
Dust.
Yeah, the great elephant migration. We had been following thousands of elephants from Botswana down through Hwanghae National Park in Zimbabwe. And so here we were positioned at toenail level. And these elephants are so thirsty that they literally come running and raise these clouds of dust. And the babies are just so precious. And a lot of the time when I was there at this particular camp in the blinds, I'm looking at hundreds, if not thousands, of elephants. And So what I did was I focused on babies.
You could see the baby in that
Mhm.
in that in this photograph, and you have like, if you have to go onto the website. So like I like to do a little teaser. You know, all of your photographs are so special, and especially the zebra ones, which
Yeah.
I'm in love with. Now your cat, I call them large cats. Um, your large cat photos always blow me away too. I mean, look at this.
This was in Sabi Sabi in South Africa, and we had
That's where most of my favorite places you've ever been for photos.
I love Sabi Sabi.
Yes.
I would stay there in a heartbeat. And we were there last summer, and it was lion cubs everywhere. The place was blanketed in lion cubs. And so I focused in on the guy with the stick, and I followed him for days. So many of my pictures are of him. He was a riot. He was so playful. And
Yeah.
I love that he always had a stick.
And that's it's so intriguing to see. Oh, we lost Jeanée. Hold on. She'll be back. It's intriguing to see how these animals are in the wild and they are playful. I love when you're in that town. But what I was saying about I don't know if they're called towns over in Africa even, but they're so playful, like the cats you have in your house. They have the sticks. They even like to play with balls and such. But let me show the elephant photo.
You know,
Now, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say one of the things, this was from 5 years ago, 4 years ago, when I was photographing the great elephant migration. And I had never known quite how much elephants touch each other, and how the head against the rump, the head to head, they'll wrap their trunks around each other, put their trunks in each other's mouths, they'll drape their tails across each other, and lean against each other. It was
They're
phenomenal.
they're a huge family. They won't leave one behind and such, even if it's passed on. You
Right?
know. Do you know Dawn Reno Langley, the author?
No, I don't.
Oh, then you need to meet her. I have another one for you to meet. She wrote this book called The Morning Parade, Mournig,
Oh, yes.
and it's so fascinating how much I learned about elephants from her book, but it brings you to tears. Like, why can't humans be like this
Right.
towards one another? Because they are so. I can't give away the book, but well, it's not even giving away the book as much as you know. It was nice how it unfolded for me to learn about elephants. So I don't want to take that away from someone that might read it. But I was blown away. I was like, is this true? So I'm Googling, and I love when you read a book and and that's what happens when you read your books. You
Oh,
know, I mean, who doesn't fall in love? Sorry, her name is Annie, but who doesn't fall in love with Annie Hawkins? So, okay. So, thank you for answering all of those questions. I
okay.
do want to show everyone the pictures of your books. So, the first one is Behind the Lens,
Yep.
and you will see on in the article all the different awards this one is won. And then we have Double Exposure, again another crazy award winning. That one won a ton of awards. And then we have newly released this year in June. June, right?
October.
Oh, October, June, October,
Yeah,
same.
whatever.
Whatever. The I should have known that because of the last discussion we had. Sorry, I made a mistake. The rule of thirds. And I haven't read through the whole story, but it's almost like it's very hard to believe you might have to part ways with a character. So as a reader, like for me, trilogies, if they're appearing to, that's how they're going to be sold. I don't want to finish this fast. I want to slow it down and, enjoy it longer. And I'm sure a lot of people will tell you that about Annie Hawkins. So I we're not going to give away what the book is about. But I will write about that in the article, which you'll see in the November 1st issue of Well Read Magazine. It's a free magazine. Such wonderful authors, and that's why Jeanée is on today. Because, like I said, she goes above and beyond in her creativity, as you've all just learned with the photojournalism, the English, uh, being an English professor, and falling in love with a new career by happenstance.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing more beautiful than that. I mean, I just think that's so great. And you're just such a nice person. You're like you're warm and cozy the moment you just say hello. So I really appreciate that about you. So what I do is I ask Proust questionnaires, but I ask about 10 to 12 questions. You can pass on whatever one you want.
Okay.
You just say pass, we move on. If you answer 7 of them, fine, whatever. But and they could be short, simple answers, however you choose them to be. And I chose these in particular for you.
Okay.
All right. So this is, how do you get to know someone? Um, Beyond the surface of where do you read? Where do you write? What time of day do you write? All of the general questions that we learn all the time. So I would like to ask you first, what is your idea of perfect happiness?
Oh, easy answer. Um, although, yeah, I'm going with out in the African bush with my camera.
I knew you. I,
Sorry.
no, I knew you were going to say it was easy. I never knew there was now African bush.
Mhm.
I just thought it was African desert, but that's interesting. Okay.
Well, even the Kalahari Desert in southern Africa is a huge swath that goes from Namibia through Botswana to Zimbabwe, and a good deal of the way through Zimbabwe. But deserts have trees and bushes and
Yeah.
grass.
Like Joshua trees and stuff like that.
Well,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. Right. Right.
they have marula trees and mopane trees and
Pine
acacias.
trees. Oh, those are. I'm a tree person.
Absolutely.
Oh, I believe that 100%. And I love that you think that too. That's so.
Can I just tell you that my new book that I just finished writing this summer, which is called Talking Bones, and it's set in Zimbabwe, trees really feature in the book because they play such an important role in not just in nature, but in the animal kingdom. For elephants,
The world.
yeah. Well, that there are lungs. They
Yes.
are,
Yeah. Yeah. They are. They're branches, just like our lungs.
yeah, and they breathe for the planet.
And animals need it for like their husks and everything. It's just,
Yeah.
it's amazing. Oh my God, I can't wait to read it. So, okay, which living person do you most admire?
I thought long and hard about this because I admire so many people, but I'm going with a man named Mark Butcher. He
Mark Butch.
is he lives in Zimbabwe. He was born and raised in Zimbabwe, and he has created a company called Imvelo, which is an Ndebele word for the environment, ecology, and the people and animals all together, because everything is so interconnected. And it's an ecotourism company, but he believes absolutely that the only way that endangered species animals can survive is if the poor people of Zimbabwe, 90% unemployment, can have ownership of the economy. And so it is this economy, people, animals, and his company has built a number of ecotourism, what we call them concessions. And the goal is to employ the people from the local villages along the edges of the park so that they get jobs, they have ownership. Although he is white, he has stepped back. The ownership is on the part of the indigenous people. The company builds schools and clinics in these villages. And I am absolutely thrilled because when I went over there 5 years ago, I asked to go see a school, St. Joseph's School, because I wanted to deliver these supplies. And so we did. And that has now become one of the most important parts of the tours that they give. And the school has become very, very close to my heart.
Oh, I'm
And
sure.
they do things like they bring in ophthalmologists from Spain and dentists from the U.S. who hold free clinics every 6 months, and they have food programs for the school kids. It's really, I think he's an amazing person, and he is somebody who is going to leave an incredible legacy on this earth.
Oh, that's so wonderful. As are you. You know, and that's part of what makes you and your writing so beautiful. Like the way you write is just like how you speak. So when you're reading your book, it's like you're being sometimes you read a book and you're reading like it like a top layer. When you're reading your book, it's like you're telling us the story.
Oh,
we're
good.
we're hearing it come through, and I think that's where I get like, oh wait, which was Annie and which was Jeanée? Like, it gets a little confused, but that's because it feels so close. And you there's, like I always say, there's some characters that stick with you for life, and she's one.
Thank you.
For sure. What is your greatest extravagance? And I wanted to ask you this in particular because I want to know what it is. I want to be nosy.
Um, well, I have a couple, but one of them is books. I think every author would say that.
Yes.
But my other extravagance is probably moments. When
Oh my god.
when I travel, I collect moments, and it's not just when I travel, but and I carry them with me, and those are stories that I create, whether I write them down or I just share a story with somebody. Um, but that's what I come home from travels with is my moments.
That's ugh, that's so beautiful, and that's such a great quote. I collect moments.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what we should all be doing um in life. I think that, and it's the most important extravagance of them all, and I think that's so wonderful. I thought you were going to say, my Nikon 803 ZX or whatever, but that's why I wanted to ask. I was like, is she going to say travel, her hotel choices, or what are you going to say? Did not expect moments. So thank you for yet another surprise.
Okay.
Okay, so the next question is, which words or phrases do you find that you most overuse?
So,
I do. I have to go back and edit everything because I write so or but all
yep,
the time.
yep,
So, but it's because we're the New York in us. That's
yes.
so. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, and I was born and raised in New Jersey and then lived for many years in New York. And
That, yes,
so and but that is how we talk. It's how we think.
it is. And it's also like a nice pause when we're thinking, like, so, da, 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 da. So I just said it. Do you see what I just happened? When and where are you happiest?
Um, I'm actually very happy wherever I am, but I adore being in my two Zen places, Hwange National Park in Zimbabwe and Sabi Sabi in South Africa.
I just wanted to hear you say sabi sabi.
I
I
love.
knew I Okay, which talent would you most like to have? Now I'm asking you this because you have so many talents. So I said, what would she wish she had? Because she has so
I think this may surprise you. Um, I hope it does. I married into a very, very musical family. My father-in-law was the great violinist Iso Brazelli, and I wish I had musical talent. I would specifically like to be able to play the cello. I
many.
adore Elgar's violin cello concerto, and I also adore unaccompanied cello um, sonatas, concertos, whatever they are, Bach's unaccompanied.
Yeah, yeah,
Yo-Yo
they're,
Ma's performance.
he's amazing. They're emotional
Yes, they are.
pieces. Allison Ragsdale has a book, Dignity
Mhm.
and Grace, I think is the one with the cello.
Yeah.
But the one girl stops playing the cello for a reason, but she takes a shirt and she throws it on top of the cello because she's no longer playing it and everything. And she's a teenager. But all you could think is, that cello can't breathe. What are you doing? Because such a character, and we forget the wood, the string. I believe everything has like a soul in it,
Yes.
especially if it comes from nature, right? So that's so cool that yours is the cello because that's my favorite as well.
I love the voice of the cello,
Yes, the
the,
voice.
the complexity of it, the layered quality of it. It just speaks to my soul.
And watching someone play it
Yes, because
is so,
they're fully embracing
yes, they're
this.
like,
I just love
you just feel so, oh my, you and I could talk forever and ever, so I'm going to go on. Okay.
it.
You and I are, we have a lot in common, thought wise, especially. If you were to die and come back as a person or thing, what would it be? And I wouldn't think it would be a hyena. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No,
Hyenas are really cool, and
I
they
know. I
are
know.
nature's trash collectors.
I
They literally help process all of these carcasses.
I know. I agree. I just don't see you as a feeder. I see you as a. Go ahead. I mean, I'm like, let you answer the question. What am I doing?
I might come back as a cheetah because I love their legs and I love the way they run and the speed they get to, which they can only maintain for a few minutes or they'll die because they generate so much heat as they're doing this. Um, I wouldn't mind coming back as a tree.
Oh my gosh. We are family. That's so cool. That's so cool.
And I think I'd like to be a camel thorn.
I've never seen one of these. I'm taking notes as I'm interviewing you, like as if I don't go back over it. Write the article.
You
But
know, a
what is it called? A
it's called a
camel?
camel thorn. It's all one word.
Okay.
And They have these massive, massive trunks with this shaggy bark and these branches that are almost like a willow, except the really thick branches come down from
Oh,
this gorgeous canopy, and then they come down and the branches actually touch the ground. And they're just gorgeous trees. And they grow a seed pod that looks like a giant cashew, and elephants love them. Love
that's a,
them as their special treats. To
oh,
be able
see,
to feed elephants, I think a camel thorn would be my destiny.
that's really cool. That's really interesting. I thought you might say a bird of some sort. Not because I don't see pictures of birds, but so that you could see all of your safari land and still see everything after you were no longer on Earth. But
I
that's what I was thinking.
I could say a bird. However, I'm scared of flying.
Oh.
And I
You know,
don't
I
know if
just have
that
like
would go away if I became a bird, or if I'd be a bird that was scared of flying.
that's so funny. That's so funny. But that's just what I thought. Because I'm thinking they're like cameras
Mhm.
of everything, you know. Where where would you most like to live?
Oh, I travel a lot,
Yes.
and there are places that I would go back to in a minute. I loved Mongolia, especially far western Mongolia, when I went
Oh,
to photograph the Golden Eagle Festival. I love Vietnam, especially Hanoi and Hoi An. Just love them. So beautiful. I love the south of France. I absolutely adore Nice. I love it. I could live in Nice easily. But last spring, I was on a photo shoot in Scotland, and you might
oh,
guess my
yeah,
Scottish
yeah, yeah.
heritage.
Yes.
And it was my first time ever there. And I went on a trek in the Highlands and out on the islands. And I absolutely fell in love with two places. One was the Isle of Skye. I could live
I,
there and be
I,
very happy. And the other place is Inverness, which is sort of the
oh,
capital of the
yes.
Highlands. And that just, it spoke to my heart.
This is just all of the things that you're saying are literally all I'm thinking is networking, 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 because south of France, Patricia Sands.
Absolutely.
She literally just sent me this huge sachet with full of lavender, embroidered with the, the lavender fields, and you hang it up. And she said, "Oh no, you can sleep with it. You can do what you want." Because I'm like, you could smell it like when it was coming in the door with my husband. I was like, Patricia sent me something from France because it's French lavender is different. Um, but all of the places you mentioned, what were the other places?
Far Western Mongolia,
Oh,
Vietnam.
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 Have you talked to Nung Fung Quai Mai, who wrote The Mountain Sing?
No, no.
Oh my God, you would love her. Her her book, The Mountain Sing, is the Vietnam War from the side of the Vietnamese,
Mhm.
which we never read, and it's so poetic.
Yes.
You would fall in love with it, especially with your type of book. It would be interesting to compare. It's very interesting. See it through a different lens, so to speak, right? Which is I just spoke with her today. But Vietnam became I became very fascinated with it after reading The Mountain Sing, and now I am a influencer for the dysphoria out of books coming out of Vietnam, the ones that are being translated into English. So they get sent to me, and I promote them, and it's very exciting. And it's funny that you say Vietnam, south of France, all these places I'm just madly in love with as well. Um, so number 9, what is your most treasured possession besides moments? Or we can pass because I did write 12 questions.
Um, this is going to sound strange.
Nothing you have said sounds strange.
My flash drives. And the reason why is on these flash drives are all of my books, all of my writing, and all of my images that are digital images. I
That's
have filing cabinet, filing drawers full of film negatives.
uh
But I was trying to figure out how to answer that question, and I thought, other than my cats, what would I grab if my house was on fire?
that's a good way to look at that question.
And I keep all of these in a go bag. All
I
of
call them go bags too. Look,
yeah,
but you know what? I have them all over here, and they're the notes. I take pictures of because I handwrite notes every book I read because I have a reading comprehension problem. So if I go to interview someone again about their books, I can go back and look. Or if I fall behind in reviews, I have all these wonderful notes
that's brilliant.
that I was taught by my sixth grade teacher, who happens to still be alive at 97, and we're in touch because I called to thank him. And his wife is like, "You've made his whole life like worth everything," and it's just so amazing. It's just so amazing. How the flash drive can hold everything we love, because there's things I'm getting rid of and I'm taking pictures of them.
Hmm.
You know, just because I can't hold it, touch it, feel it, I still have the picture of it, which is just as wonderful. That's very interesting how you thought about that. What would I take if my house was on fire? That's interesting. I guess in 1890 they weren't thinking those things. So my last question is, who are your heroes in real life?
Oh, my heroes in real life.
Or a hero or
Well, I have a lot of people that I really look up to at this moment in my life.
oh, I
The
love that.
people who I live in awe of are the journalists in conflict zones, and especially the female journalists who are risking their lives to bear witness and to tell the story, to let the world know what's going on. And Dickie Chappelle, who is actually from my town of Shorewood,
It
uh,
really
yes, she was the first woman killed, first American female journalist killed in action when I was in Vietnam. She died in Vietnam. And I went to the War Museum in Ho Chi Minh City. And on the third floor, they have this wonderful exhibit of photojournalists. And there was a whole section for Dickie Chappelle. Lindsay Addario is doing amazing things, as is Christiane Amanpour, Clarissa Ward, and so many others. And, it's a boys' game. And so many of these women, not these particular women, but other photojournalists who are female who are trying to make it, have to go through horrific hazing. And,
yes.
and yet they do it, and they live through their fear, Marie Colvin, and they tell that story. But also, I'd like to say that most people don't know that upwards of 75 journalists, and that's the whole gamut of journalists, have been killed or are missing in Afghanistan over the last 2 decades.
Are you kidding?
And those are my heroes of the moment.
I'm going I always have a prayer light on, candlelight.
Hmm.
So I am going to add them to my prayer book. So the rapid fire questions, which will not take long, I promise. But they're fun. That's to be You're kind of a lighthearted person anyway, but these are fun and easy.
Okay.
And you could pass, it's the same thing.
Okay.
Favorite cereal?
Oatmeal.
I knew it. What does a yellow light mean? Speed up or slow down? That's my favorite. That's my favorite one.
You know, it depends on
Does
it.
it have a camera?
No, it depends on if I slam on my brakes, is the car behind me going to rear end me?
Or are you gonna slide through?
Or am I going to cause an accident by stopping for a yellow light? And if so, it's better to speed up and go through.
Oh my gosh. Oh my, that's so funny. There's so many different answers for this that I get, and I just love it. It's my favorite one to ask. Item on your bucket list.
Oh, um, so many. It's travel, of course. Um, India to photograph tigers.
Oh, oh yes. That would be that would be wonderful for those of us that can't do that. You take us on a journey,
Thank you.
through your photography, but in your books, oh my gosh. The I mean, you'll learn more in when you read the article, but your books, oh my gosh, like you're not here. Your books are, you fall in love with the character, and then the what do they call them? Peripheral characters
Yeah, secondary
are,
character.
are they're so profound and so juicy. It's just you're such a talented writer. So, what was your dream job as a kid?
My dream job as a kid,
As
I
a
wanted
kid,
to be an author.
that's so awesome. I love it. I love it. Dreams do come true.
Yep.
If you could ban one ice cream flavor, what would it be?
Um, um, Rocky Road.
Rocky Road. What? I'm just kidding. What country that you've never been to would you choose to maybe live in part of the year from what you're hearing about it?
Oh, never been to live in. Iceland.
Iceland. They're about to have a book fair.
I know.
Are you going?
No.
Oh, I just interviewed Wendy Walker. She's going. Okay. If you could own one prop item from a movie set, what would it be?
You've got to know Indiana Jones's hat.
I almost wore a hat today. I almost wore a hat that looked like an Indiana Jones hat because I love hats. Oh, that's so great. That's so great. Oh my, you and I would be best friends if we lived near each other.
We've
We'd be
never
in.
had any work done because we'd always.
I know we wouldn't stop talking. Okay, two more. Apple or orange if you had to choose one for the rest of your life.
Oh, probably apples because I'd get tired of peeling the orange rind.
That's good. That's good. And what book do you wish you had read that you just haven't gotten around to yet? We all have books on our shelves that we haven't read yet.
Yeah. I'll be right back.
Okay. Oh, this is so exciting. Do you see what it's like? We take it so seriously to answer these questions. These questions are no joke.
The Covenant of Water.
Oh,
Haven't read it yet.
The Covenant. That's a pretty cover.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Yes, yes.
I love the way it sort of wraps around.
Ooh, that's going to take you a long time to read. I love that.
Yeah, it's like 700 pages.
I always have a book that's like really, really fat. That's why I call them fat. And I read them like intermittently. Yeah. So it takes me a long time to read it. Because I have other books to read in the meantime. But that's really wonderful. And what I love about your covers, just let me show everybody once again, is that they all look, this is the new one, They all are so in sync with one another. They are craft, they are art in themselves. They could be in a gallery. They're gorgeous. I
Could I
really
just
appreciate.
say could I
Yeah.
just say that, the art director at my publisher worked really close with me. Her name is Kaylee Duntman, to design those covers, and I thought she did an amazing job of making each one distinct, but also a really nice continuity.
Correct. Yes. It has been such a pleasure to get to know you better. I appreciate you coming on for this very special this magazine is very special to me. This column is very special to me because I only get to choose 12 authors. And they're always authors that go above and beyond. And you have proven during this interview that that's what you do. And you go above and beyond as a human being
Oh,
for representing nature, humans, animals. You're a very special person, and I really hope you know that from the bottom of my heart. And I really appreciate this time. And I hope everyone gets your books and learns more about you. And I will have everything on there to tell people how they can go look at your photographs and all of that and follow you. You are someone to be followed for life. So thank you so much, Jeanée. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I really appreciate your time.
thank you, Annie. This has been a dream come true to spend time with you.
Oh, thank you so much. All right, have a wonderful night. And I'm sorry I took so long.
Oh, this was sheer joy.
Oh,
Sheer joy. I loved every minute of it. Thank you
thank
so
you.
much.
All right, have a wonderful day. Thank you
You
so
too.
much. All
Bye
right,
bye.
bye.